Yeah, so unfortunately, the pandemic obviously brought a lot of problems, not just for Citizens Advice Scotland, but for Scotland as a whole and the world as a whole, actually. And what that resulted in for us was a decline in volunteer numbers. So we lost quite a number of volunteers. So we had, pre-pandemic, we had around 2,000. And currently we've got around 1,500. The other issue that's come up through that as well, and again, directly related, is that the retention rates have gone down for volunteers. So we see volunteers staying with camps for around 6 to 12 months of kind of joining. So I suppose as a result of that, we're really pleased that we've got a dedicated volunteer team to actually support the cabs across Scotland with volunteering and really looking at how we strengthen our volunteering ask, but also how we make some of the opportunities more accessible.
People's mental health and well-being, and also what their priorities are for themselves. So a lot more people went back into employment, they have taken on second jobs, or they're having to look now at childcare resources because they can't afford to do childcare because of the cost of living crisis, or grandparents are now having to cover childcare and no longer able to volunteer as well.
So I suppose, for us then, it's great to have a volunteer strategy, isn't it? Really to focus on what's needed to support the network and support communities actually to get back into volunteering, because there's such a range of things that have happened in terms of communities changing, the CAB network changing, and what the actual need looks like. So it's really good for us to focus on that strategy, have some key activities in it, and really bring it to life, which I'm really excited about and looking forward to seeing happen.
Yeah, and I think for us the main focus is that we listen to our community and speak to the network as well, and speak to our volunteers. And we've started that by doing the volunteer survey, first volunteer survey since 2015. We just closed that survey with a 30% response rate, which is great to see. So that's to ensure that we meet everybody's priorities in the network and not just Cassie's and our volunteering team. So we want to hear from the cabs and our volunteers about what their priorities are and what their needs are, and so we can learn from that and implement that into our volunteer strategy. But we really are looking at how we can make volunteering more flexible, a more diverse volunteering, and become an inclusive volunteer programme. We're also looking at recruitment, so looking at recruitment in a different way of how we can attract different volunteers into the network. So we will be creating a volunteer recruitment strategy as well, and then looking at how we can diversify roles as well across, and looking at roles in a different way, in a more flexible way for people to engage with the volunteer strategy. As head of the department, what's the one thing that you would like to come out of the volunteer strategy?
So, it's really hard to say one thing. But I think for me the two things are that we come away with shaping volunteering differently, so really creating more diverse roles, as you've mentioned, therefore making the volunteer role more accessible to diverse communities. So that would be my first one. And I think the second one is having resource for cabs to support those volunteers differently, because if we increase the volunteer base, we need effective resources. I'm not saying that's wrong. So the second thing, I suppose, is that all the cabs across Scotland have got support and resources to support the volunteers that obviously volunteer with the cabs locally. So communities supporting the cabs, but then the cabs actually supporting those communities to do the roles as well.
Great. Well, I think my team and the three of us in the network services are looking forward to working with the whole network to support volunteering and make that difference over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens.
Great, thank you.